good, everyone? Glad you guys can be with me once again. This is Jonathan Mathis, the sports judge. Welcome to my sports channel. I can't thank you guys enough for the support. Thanks for supporting the channel. Really appreciate it. The national title game really didn't live up to the hype last night. It wasn't what I expected. I thought the game would be much closer than what it was. I had picked Georgia to win the game. To me, Georgia was just a more physical team, the more talented team, probably more prepared in that situation, having been there before. They know what it takes to win at that level. You know, they were on the big stage a year ago, and they were looking to win back-to-back championships, and they were able to win once again. They reigned supreme once again. Georgia was a tough out. We knew that coming into the playoffs. There was no question about that. You know, and Georgia became the college football standard. The Bulldogs have evolved into a college football powerhouse. And Kirby Smart's team is poised to run it back. This is a team that can be favorites next year to win the national title again. Their 65-7 demoralization of TCU qualified as the biggest beatdown ever in the national title game. Georgia controlled all four quarters from start to finish. You know, it scored 9 touchdowns, won by more than 8 touchdowns against the underdogs. Number 3, TCU. Now, we can't diminish what TCU accomplished this year, despite the fact that they got steamrolled in this game. We have to acknowledge the fact that they did have a Cinderella year, and it was a Cinderella story for them. It was one of the best stories in college football this season, TCU. Everyone talked about Hypnotoad. Everyone talked about the Horned Frogs. Max Duggan was the star quarterback, was a Heisman finalist, and deservingly so. You know, but unfortunately for TCU, they met a team that was just too powerful, too stronger, and a team that was, you know, all around talented. They ran into a juggernaut. And TCU, from the start, couldn't match up well against Georgia. And I knew that coming in as well. Their defense wouldn't match up with their defense. You know, they couldn't match up that level of intensity. They wasn't as physical as Georgia. They couldn't play their style of football, as we all saw as well. And Georgia made TCU play their style of football. They owned the line of scrimmage, played suffocating defense, and controlled the clock. It was the most complete performance by a college football team. Georgia was dominant. They won it in dominant fashion. I turned the game off. I literally turned the game off and started watching the Laker game because there was no point to continue watching the destruction of TCU. TCU got crushed. It was absolutely demoralizing for TCU. But to say that they didn't belong on the big stage is morally wrong. They earned their spot in the national championship game. They deserve to be on the big stage, and they showed it. You know, they just met a Georgia team that was too much for them. It was just too much for them, and they couldn't generate any offense. They had a few turnovers that killed them, that did them in as well. TCU just didn't look like themselves. It didn't look like TCU football. Max Duggan, we all know that he's a guy who's poised, we know that he can take charge and engineer comebacks because we've seen that. That wasn't the case last night. Max Duggan, for once, looked rattled at times. When he was under duress, he was forced to make throws that he usually don't make. There was turnovers in the game. That, hurt TCU tremendously. That gave the ball right back to the Georgia offense, and Stetson Bennett and Georgia did their thing. And Stetson Bennett, we all know the Hollywood script that he's written, since he has, filled in rather nicely as the quarterback. He has embraced his role as a starting quarterback, and his story is a beautiful story. It's one of the most beautiful stories in college football. This was a redshirt freshman, a walk-on, a redshirt walk-on. We all know he was a walk-on. He didn't receive any scholarships. This is a guy who was unwanted. A lot of people overlooked him. They didn't give him a shot, a legitimate shot, but Georgia did. And look what he morphed into. One of the top quarterbacks in the country. A 2-time national champion with Georgia. It's an incredible story. But TCU's story is an incredible one too. It kind of reminds you of a Disney movie. Unfortunately, their magical run comes to an end. They fall short to a very good Georgia team. A Georgia team that's terrifying, that's scary, that can beat you in a variety of ways. And once again, it was another great year for the Georgia Bulldogs. They'll be back next season. And I wouldn't be surprised if they win it again next year. No, they won't have Stetson Bennett next season. They will have a different quarterback next season. But they have a lot of returning players. They will have a lot of the same players coming back. Kirby Smart recruits the nation's best. A lot of talented players want to commit to Georgia. And Georgia has claimed its throne. They are on the mountaintop. They have reached the mountaintop of college football. Georgia is the team to beat in college football. They're a defensive-oriented team. Their coach, Kirby Smart, is a defensive-minded coach. He's brilliant. He preaches the importance of defense. He puts an emphasis on defense. And that's what Georgia is really good at. That's their strength, is defense. But their offense has been solid as well. And their quarterback has showcased his talent. Now his run comes to an end. Now there will be a new quarterback. But this Georgia team will be right where they are now by this time next year. I wouldn't be surprised if they win 3 national championships in a row. That's hard to do. That's very hard to do. But when you look at Georgia's roster, and when you look at how well coached they are, and how they are mentally prepared for big games like this, I wouldn't doubt it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. Really, really appreciate the love and the support once again. Hit the subscribe button. Also, click the bell icon. Click the bell icon for notifications so you guys won't miss anything. And support the channel. Share the video. Share this content. Show it to people who like sports. Spread the word about me. Let people know who I am. I'm the sports judge. Talk to you guys later. Guys, take care.